Welcome back, in part 3 of Disney, so let's continue this topic.
In 1967, the last two films Walt had worked on were released. The animated film The Jungle Book, which was Disney's most successful film for the next 2 decades, and the live-action musical The Happiest Millionaire.
After Walt's death, the company largely abandoned animation, but made several live-action films.
Its animation staff declined from 500 to 125 employees, with the company only hiring 21 people from 1970 to 77. Disney's first post-Walt animated film The Aristocats was released in 1970. According to Dave Kerr of Chicago Tribune, the absence of his, Walt's, hand is evident.
The following year, the anti-fascist musical Batman and Broomsticks was released and won the Oscar for Best Special Visual Effects.
At the time of Walt's death, Roy was ready to retire but wanted to keep Walt's legacy alive. He became the first CEO and chairman of the company.
In May 1967, Roy had legislation passed by Florida's legislatures to grant Disney World its own quasi-government agency in an area called Reedy Creek Improvement District.
Roy changed Disney World's name to Walt Disney World to remind people it was Walt's dream.
Epcot became less the city of tomorrow and more another amusement park.
After 18 months of construction at a cost of around $400 million, Walt Disney World's first park, the Magic Kingdom, along with Disney's Contemporary Resort and Disney's Polynesian Resort, opened on October 1, 1971, with 10,400 visitors.
A parade with over 1,000 band members, 4,000 Disney entertainers, and a choir from the U.S. Army marched down Main Street.
The icon of the park was the Cinderella Castle.
On Thanksgiving Day, cars traveling to the Magic Kingdom caused traffic jams along interstate roads.
On December 21, 1971, Roy died of cerebral hemorrhage at St. Joseph Hospital.
John Tatum, a senior executive and former president of Disney, became the first non-Disney family member to become CEO and chairman.
Card Walker, who had been with the company since 1938, became its president.
By June 30, 1973, Disney had over 23,000 employees and a gross revenue of $257,751,000 over a 9-month period. Compared to the year before when it made $220,026,000.
In November, Disney released the animated film Robin Hood, 1973, which became Disney's biggest international grossing movie at $18 million.
Throughout the 1970s, Disney released live-action films such as the Computer Wore Tennis Shoes sequel Now You See Him, Now You Don't, the Love Bug sequels Herbie Rides Again, 1974, and Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo, 1977, Escape to Witch Mountain, 1975, and Freaky Friday, 1976.
In 1976, Card Walker became CEO of the company, with Tatum remaining chairman until 1980, when Walker replaced him.
In 1977, Roy E. Disney, Roy O. Disney's son and the only Disney working for the company, resigned as an executive because of disagreements with company decisions.
In 1977, Disney released the successful animated film The Restorers, which grossed $48 million.
The live-action animated musical Pete's Dragon was released in 1977, grossing $16 million in the US and Canada, but was a disappointment to the company.
In 1979, Disney's first PG-rated film and most expensive film to that point at $26 million, The Black Hole was released, showing Disney could use special effects.
It grossed $35 million, a disappointment to the company, which thought it would be a hit like Star Wars, 1977.
The Black Hole was a response to other science fiction films of the era. In September, 12 animators, which was over 15% of the department, resigned.
Led by Don Bluth, they left because of a conflict with a training program and the atmosphere, and started their own company, Don Bluth Productions.
In 1981, Disney released Dumbo to VHS and Alice in Wonderland the following year, leading Disney to eventually release all its films on home media.
On July 24, Walt Disney's World on Ice, a 2-year tour of ice shows featuring Disney charters, made its premiere at the Brendan Byrne Meadowlands Arena after Disney licensed its characters to Felt Entertainment.
The same month, Disney's animated film The Fox and the Hound was released and became the highest-grossing animated film to that point at $40 million.
It was the first film that did not involve Walt and the last major work done by Disney's 9 old men, who were replaced with younger animators.
As profits started to decline, on October 1, 1982, Epcot, then known as Epcot Center, opened as the second theme park in Walt Disney World, with around 10,000 people in attendance during the opening.
The park cost over $900 million to construct, and consisted of the Future World Pavilion and World Showcase representing Mexico, China, Germany, Italy, America, Japan, France, the UK, and Canada, Morocco, and Norway were added in 1984 and 1988, respectively.
The animation industry continued to decline and 69% of the company's profits were from its theme parks. In 1982, there were 12 million visitors to Walt Disney World, a figure that declined by 5% the following June.
On July 9, 1982, Disney released Tron, one of the first films to extensively use computer-generated imagery, CGI.
It was a big influence on other CGI movies, though it received mixed reviews.
In 1982, the company lost $27 million.
On April 15, 1983, Disney's first park outside the U.S., Tokyo Disneyland, opened in Urezu.
Costing around $1.4 billion, construction started in 1979 when Disney and the Oriental Land Company agreed to build the park together.
Within its first 10 years, the park had over 140 million visitors.
After an investment of $100 million, on April 18, Disney started a pay-to-watch cable television channel called Disney Channel, a 16-hour-a-day service showing Disney films, 12 programs, and 2 magazine shows for adults.
Although it was expected to do well, the company lost $48 million after its first year, with around 916,000 subscribers. In 1983, Walt's son-in-law Ron William Miller, who had been president since 1978, became its CEO, and Raymond Watson became chairman.
Miller wanted the studio to produce more content for mature audiences, and Disney founded film distribution label Touchstone Pictures to produce movies geared toward adults and teenagers in 1984.
Splash 1984 was the first film released under the label and a much-needed success, grossing over $6 million in its first week.
Disney's first R-rated film Down and Out in Beverly Hills, 1986, was released and was another hit, grossing $62 million.
The following year, Disney's first PG-13 rated film Adventures in Babysitting was released.
In 1984, Saul Steinberg attempted to buy out the company, holding 11% of the stocks.
He offered to buy 49% for $1.3 billion or the entire company for $2.75 billion.
Disney, which had less than $10 million, rejected Steinberg's offer and offered to buy all of his stock for $326 million.
Steinberg agreed, and Disney paid it all with part of a $1.3 billion bank loan, putting the company $866 million in debt. In 1984, shareholders Roy E. Disney, Sid Meese, William and Diane Disney, and Irwin L. Jacobs, who together owned about 36% of the shares, forced out CEO Miller and replaced him with Michael Eisner, a former president of Paramount Pictures, and appointed Frank Wells as president.
Eisner's first act was to make it a major film studio, which at the time it was not considered.
Eisner appointed Jeffrey Katzenberg as chairman and Roy E. Disney as head of animation.
Eisner wanted to produce an animated film every 18 months rather than 4 years, as the company had been doing.
To help with the film division, the company started making Saturday morning cartoons to create new Disney characters for merchandising and produced films through Touchstone.
Under Eisner, Disney became more involved with television, creating Touchstone Television and producing the television sitcom The Golden Girls, which was a hit.
The company spent $15 million promoting its theme parks, raising visitor numbers by 10%.
In 1984, Disney produced The Black Cauldron, then the most expensive animated movie at $40 million, their first animated film to feature computer-generated imagery, and their first PG-rated animation because of its adult themes.
The film was a box office failure, leading the company to move the animation department from the studio in Burbank to a warehouse in Glendale, California.
The film financing partnership Silver Screen Partners II, which was organized in 1985, financed films for Disney with $193 million.
In January 1987, Silver Screen Partners III began financing movies for Disney with $300 million, raised by E.F. Hutton, the largest amount raised for a film financing limited partnership.
Silver Screen 4 was also set up to finance Disney Studios.
In 1986, the company changed its name from Walt Disney Productions to the Walt Disney Company, stating the old name only referred to the film industry.
With Disney's animation industry declining, the animation department needed its next movie, The Great Mouse Detective, to be a success.
It grossed $25 million at the box office, becoming a much-needed financial success.
To generate more revenue from merchandising, the company opened its first retail store, Disney Store, in Glendale in 1987.
Because of its success, the company opened 2 more in California, and by 1990, it had 215 throughout the U.S.
In 1989, the company garnered $411 million in revenue and made a profit of $187 million.
In 1987, the company signed an agreement with the government of France to build a resort named Euro Disneyland in Paris. It would consist of 2 theme parks, named Disneyland Park and Walt Disney Studios Park, a golf course, and 6 hotels. In 1988, Disney's 27th animated film Oliver and Company was released the same day as that of former Disney animator Don Bluth's The Land Before Time.
Oliver and Company outcompeted The Land Before Time, becoming the first animated film to gross over $100 million in its initial release and the highest grossing animated film in its initial run.
Disney became the box office leading Hollywood studio for the first time with films such as Who Framed Roger Rabbit, 1988, 3 Men and a Baby, 1987, and Good Morning, Vietnam, 1987.
The company's gross revenue went from $165 million in 1983 to $876 million in 1987. And operating income went from minus $33 million in 1983 to plus $130 million in 1987.
The studio's net income rose by 66%, along with a 26% growth in revenue.
Los Angeles Times called Disney's recovery a real rarity in the corporate world.
On May 1, 1989, Disney opened Disney MGM Studios, its third amusement park at Walt Disney World, and later became Hollywood Studios.
The new park demonstrated to visitors the movie-making process until 2008, when it was changed to make guests feel they are in movies.
Following the opening of Disney MGM Studios, Disney opened the water park Typhoon Lagoon in June 1989. In 2022, it had 1.9 million visitors and was the most popular water park in the world.
Also in 1989, Disney signed an agreement in principle to acquire the Jim Henson Company from its founder.
The deal included Henson's programming library and Muppet characters, excluding the Muppets, created for Sesame Street, as well as Henson's personal creative services.
Henson, however, died in May 1990 before the deal was completed, resulting in the company's terminating merger negotiations.
On November 17, 1989, Disney released The Little Mermaid, which was the start of the Disney Renaissance, a period in which the company released hugely successful and critically acclaimed animated films.
The Little Mermaid became the animated film with the highest gross from its initial run and garnered $233 million at the box office. It won 2 Academy Awards: Best Original Score and Best Original Song for Under the Sea.
During the Disney Renaissance, composer Alan Menken and lyricist Howard Ashman wrote several Disney songs until Ashman died in 1991.
Together they wrote 6 songs, nominated for Academy Awards, with 2 winning songs, Under the Sea and Beauty and the Beast.
To produce music geared for the mainstream, including music for movie soundtracks, Disney founded the recording label Hollywood Records on January 1, 1990.
In September 1990, Disney arranged for financing of up to $200 million by Union of Memorial Securities for Interscope films made for Disney.
On October 23, Disney formed touch with Pacific Partners, which replaced the Silver Screen Partnership series as the company's movie studio's primary source of funding.
Disney's first animated sequel, The Restorers Down Under, was released on November 16, 1990, and created using Computer Animation Production System, CAPS. Digital software developed by Disney and Pixar, the computer division of Lucasfilm, becoming the first feature film to be entirely created digitally.
Although the film struggled in the box office, grossing $47 million, it received positive reviews.
In 1991, Disney and Pixar agreed to a deal to make 3 films together, the first one being Toy Story.
Dow Jones and Company, wanting to replace 3 companies in its industrial average, chose to add Disney in May 1991, stating Disney reflects the importance of entertainment and leisure activities in the economy.
Disney's next animated film Beauty and the Beast was released on November 13, 1991, and grossed nearly $430 million.
It was the first animated film to win a Golden Globe for Best Picture, and it received 6 Academy Award nominations, becoming the first animation nominated for Best Picture. It won Best Score, Best Sound, and Best Song.
The film was critically acclaimed, with some critics considering it to be the best Disney film.
To coincide with the 1992 release of The Mighty Ducks, Disney founded the National Hockey League team, the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim.
Disney's next animated feature Aladdin was released on November 11, 1992, and grossed $504 million, becoming the highest-grossing animated film to that point, and the first animated film to gross $500 million.
It won 2 Academy Awards, Best Song for A Whole New World and Best Score, and A Whole New World was the first and only Disney song to win the Grammy for Song of the Year.
For $60 million, Disney broadened its range of mature audience films by acquiring independent film distributor Miramax Films in 1993.
The same year, in a venture with a nature conservancy, Disney purchased 8,500 acres, 3,439 hectares of Everglades headwaters in Florida to protect native animals and plant species, establishing the Disney Wilderness Preserve. On April 3, 1994, Frank Wells died in a helicopter crash. He, Eisner, and Katzenberg helped the company's market value go from $2 billion to $22 billion since taking office in 1984.
On June 15 the same year, The Lion King was released and was a massive success, becoming the second highest-grossing film of all time behind Jurassic Park and the highest-grossing animated film of all time, with a gross total of $969 million.
It was critically praised and garnered 2 Academy Awards, Best Score and Best Song for Can You Feel the Love Tonight?
Soon after its release, Katzenberg left the company after Eisner refused to promote him to president.
After leaving, he co-founded Film Studios DreamWorks SKG.
Wells was later replaced with one of Eisner's friends, Michael Ovitz, on August 13, 1995.
In 1994, Disney wanted to buy one of the major U.S. television networks ABC, NBC, or CBS, which would give the company guaranteed distribution for its programming.
Eisner planned to buy NBC, but the deal was cancelled because General Electric wanted to keep a majority stake.
In 1994, Disney's annual revenue reached $10 billion, 48% coming from film, 34% from theme parks, and 18% from merchandising.
Disney's total net income was up 25% from the previous year at $1.1 billion.
Grossing over $346 million, Pocahontas was released on June 16, garnering the Academy Awards for Best Musical or Comedy Score and Best Song for Colors of the Wind.
Pixar's and Disney's first co-release was the first ever fully computer-generated film Toy Story, which was released on November 19, 1995, to critical acclaim and an end-run gross total of $361 million.
The film won the Special Achievement Academy Award and was the first animated film to be nominated for Best Original Screenplay. In 1995, Disney announced the $19 billion acquisition of television network Capital Cities/ABC Incorporated, which was then the second largest corporate takeover in U.S. history.
Through the deal, Disney would obtain broadcast network ABC, an 80% majority stake in sports networks ESPN and ESPN2, 50% in Lifetime Television, a majority stake of Dick Entertainment, and a 38% minority stake in A&E Television Networks.
Following the deal, the company started Radio Disney, a youth-focused radio program on ABC Radio Network, on November 18, 1996.
The Walt Disney Company launched its official website Disney.com on February 22, 1996, mainly to promote its theme parks and merchandise.
On June 19, the company's next animated film The Hunchback of Notre Dame was released, grossing $325 million at the box office.
Because Ovitz's management style was different from Eisner's, Ovitz was fired as the company's president in 1996.
Disney lost a $10.4 million lawsuit in September 1997 to Marsupilami over Disney's failure to produce as contracted 13 half-hour Marsupilami cartoon shows.
Instead, Disney felt other internal, hot properties deserved the company's attention.
Disney, which since 1996 had owned a 25% stake in the Major League Baseball team California Angels, bought out the team in 1998 for $110 million. Renamed it Anaheim Angels and renovated the stadium for $100 million.
Hercules, 1997, was released on June 13 and underperformed compared to earlier films, grossing $252 million.
On February 24, Disney and Pixar signed a 10-year contract to make 5 films with Disney as distributor.
They would share the cost, profits, and logo credits, calling the films Disney Pixar Productions.
During the Disney Renaissance, film division Touchstone also saw success with films such as Pretty Woman, 1990, which has the highest number of ticket sales in the U.S. for a romantic comedy and grossed $432 million. Sister Act, 1992, which was one of the financially successful comedies of the early 1990s, grossing $231 million. Action film Con Air, 1997, which grossed $224 million. And the highest grossing film of 1998 at $553 million, Armageddon. At Disney World, the company opened Disney's Animal Kingdom, the largest theme park in the world, covering 580 acres, 230 hectares, on Earth Day, April 22, 1998.
It had 6 animal-themed lands, over 2,000 animals, and the Tree of Life at its center.
Receiving positive reviews, Disney's next animated films Mulan and Disney Pixar film A Bug's Life were released on June 5 and November 20, 1998.
Mulan became the year's 6th highest grossing film at $304 million, and A Bug's Life was the year's 5th highest at $363 million.
In a $770 million transaction, on June 18, Disney bought a 43% stake of internet search engine InfoSeek for $70 million, also giving it InfoSeek, acquired Starwave.
starting web portal Go.com in a joint venture with InfoSeek in January 1999. Disney acquired the rest of InfoSeek later that year.
After unsuccessful negotiations with cruise lines Carnival and Royal Caribbean International in 1994, Disney announced it would start its own cruise line operation in 1998.
The first two ships of the Disney Cruise Line were named Disney Magic and Disney Wonder until life in Cantieri in Italy.
To accompany the cruises, Disney bought board of KS the line's private island and spent $25 million remodeling it and renaming it Castaway Cay.
On July 30, 1998, Disney Magic set sail as the line's first voyage.
Marking the end of the Disney Renaissance, Tarzan, 1999, was released on June 12, garnering $448 million at the box office and critical acclaim. It claimed the Academy Award for Best Original Song for Phil Collins' You'll Be in My Heart.
Whoa!
Disney Pixar film Toy Story 2 was released on November 13, garnering brazen $511 million at the box office.
To replace Otis, Eisner named ABC Network Chief Advisor Disney's President and Chief Operating Officer in January 2000.
In November, Disney sold Dick Entertainment back to Andy Hayward.
Disney had another huge success with Pixar when they released Monsters, Incorporated in 2001.
Later, Disney bought children's cable network Fox Family Worldwide for $3 billion and the assumption of $2.3 billion in debt.
The deal included a 76% stake in Fox Kids Europe, Latin American channel Fox Kids, more than 6,500 episodes from Saban Entertainment's programming library and Fox Family Channel.
In 2001, Disney's operations had a net loss of $158 million after a decline in viewership of the ABC television network, as well as decreased tourism due to the September 11 attacks.
Disney earnings in fiscal 2001 were $120 million, compared with the previous year's $920 million.
To help reduce costs, Disney announced it would lay off 4,000 employees and close 300 to 400 Disney stores.
After winning the World Series in 2002, Disney sold the Anaheim Angels for $180 million in 2003.
In 2003, Disney became the first studio to garner $3 billion in a year at the box office.
The same year, Roy Disney announced his retirement because of how the company was being run, calling on Eisner to retire. The same week, board member Stanley Holt retired for the same reasons.
Golden Disney Ford V Save Disney campaign.
In 2004, at the company's annual meeting, the shareholders, in a 43% vote, voted Eisner out as chairman.
On March 4, George J. Mitchell, who was a member of the board, was named as replacement.
In April, Disney purchased the Muppets franchise from the Jim Henson Company for $75 million, founding Muppets Holding Company, LLC.
Following the success of Disney Pixar films Finding Nemo, 2003, which became the second highest grossing animated film of all time at $936 million, and The Incredibles, 2004, Pixar looked for a new distributor once its deal with Disney ended in 2004.
Disney sold the loss-making Disney Stores chain of 313 stores to Children's Place on October 20.
Disney also sold the NHL team Mighty Ducks in 2005.
Roy E. Disney decided to rejoin the company and was given the role of consultant with the title Director Emeritus. We will continue about Disney in part 4.